This is without a doubt the toughest decision for a national champion I think I'll make for the entire NCAA tournament. And I'm talking about 174 pounds with Keegan O'Toole, Levi Haines, and Dean Hamady. I'm going to get into my national champion pick, my top 8, my round of 12, some of the sleepers to watch out for at this weight class. I think there's actually a lot in this weight class. 165 didn't have as many. 174, bunch of guys, high seeds that I think could make deep runs into this tournament. And let's start with those guys because really after the top 3 of Keegan O'Toole, Levi Haines, Dean Hamady, I think there's a pretty substantial drop-off here. I don't think there's anyone that really enters into that top 3 conversation in all likelihood. And really for me, it's a top 2. It's Keegan O'Toole and Levi Haines. And then Dean Hamady is kind of the next best guy, but I just don't see him ending up able to beat Levi Haines in that semifinal match, let alone Keegan O'Toole. I feel like his opportunity was really in that Big 12 final. Now, starting with those sleepers. Okay, you've got a 16 seed, Lorenzo Norman from Stanford. We saw what this guy could do at Cliff Keen. He's really had a tough second half of the season, and there's not a lot of momentum for Norman coming into this to the NCAA tournament. But at the 16 seed, that's a potential second round match for Keegan O'Toole. That's tougher than a lot of 1 seeds second round match. I'll say that much. Number 13, Cade DeVos. This guy's an All-American for South Dakota State. Had a tougher start to the year, was seemingly rounding into form the second half of the season. I like his momentum, and this guy's super proven. And he and Bronigal, let me make sure, yes, this is Danny Bronigal. I think both of these guys, now that's a round 1 matchup, DeVos versus Bronigal. I think either one of those guys has the potential to make a run to the semifinal round because the 4 seed Garrett Thompson, the 5 seed Simon Ruiz, I think those guys are super vulnerable. They have really nice records. I'm talking about Thompson and Ruiz. But if you look at the high-end wins, they don't really have them. I mean, without a doubt, Danny Bronigal has better wins than the 4 seed and the 5 seed. Now, Bronigal has a worse record. He has some tough losses. But what he showed at the Big Ten tournament, placing 3rd, beating Carson Hartzell twice, that's more than either of these guys have been able to prove this season. So I have Danny Bronigal out of the 20. This may sound crazy. I have him in the semis. I don't think it's nuts if you look at it on a matchup by match basis. That being said, Cade DeVos could knock him off in round 1, and DeVos could do the exact same thing. Or it could go chalk, obviously. That's always on the table. But for me, I don't take a ton of big swings, but I think right here, the 20, Dan Bronigal, I think he makes a deep run. Now, who else? MJ Gaitan had some nice moments at the Big 12 tournament, had a big pin there for Iowa State. Don't count him out either. Okay. Now I'm going to get into my national champion pick. And this one is so tough because no matter who you pick, you have reasons to feel extreme discomfort with that decision. You have reason to feel like, man, I really just did that. I really just picked Keegan O'Toole to lose to Levi Haines. Keegan O'Toole, one of the most proven NCAA performers. This guy is a 2-time national champion. His 2 NCAA titles went through other NCAA champions, beating Shane Griffith, beating David Carr. He's gone back and forth with David Carr. Keegan O'Toole, truly one of the great performers and someone who has only lost to 2 different wrestlers in his NCAA career. David Carr, and going back to his true freshman year when he wouldn't even have been wrestling, Jake Wenzel, NCAA finalist for Pitt. Those are the only guys that have beaten Keegan O'Toole. Or you're picking against Penn State's track record and Levi Haines' track record, which Levi is not as proven an NCAA commodity as Keegan O'Toole, but he's had 2 NCAA tournaments. He's finished 2nd and 1st and was an undefeated NCAA champion last year. Okay, so if you pick Keegan O'Toole, you're picking against Penn State and Levi Haines and their track record. If you pick Levi Haines, you're saying, hey, I'm not worried about what Keegan O'Toole's been able to prove. It is a true lose-lose. In my opinion, it's a lose-lose. You're going to feel a lack of confidence, I believe, no matter who you pick between those two. Now, in the preseason, I picked Levi Haines to win this weight class. I took what I saw in that freestyle match and I said, I think Levi Haines, I don't think it's going to look the exact same in folk style, but I still think Levi Haines is going to win. And then they wrestled in December in a dual meet, and Keegan O'Toole won. He won in overtime. It was this insane, thrilling, sudden victory scramble, right? And it was a little controversial to me. I think it was 3 for Keegan, but, the Penn State side and others may say, hey, that wasn't a takedown. Here nor there, Keegan won, right? was that enough for me to flip my mind and flip to Keegan O'Toole? Because I don't change my mind often from my preseason picks. I got to see something substantial. And it wasn't enough for me. And it's not just about how close that match was, and it's not just about the fact that Levi did beat him in freestyle. It's how Keegan looked in that match against Dean Hamady, where I thought that match was all but won for Hamady. And you have to give a ton of credit to Keegan O'Toole. Keegan found a way to win that match when it didn't look good. It didn't look good in that third period when he had to get the takedown and the ride out. And it honestly didn't look great in overtime. I thought Dean Hamady was in great position to score the sudden victory takedown when Keegan O'Toole once again found a way. So I have to pick, it's two great options and at the same time not great options, right? Because you're picking against greatness. That's what makes this match so exciting, so intriguing. I think for Levi Haines, the keys for him, one, he's got to find a way to get to his right-handed sweep single leg. That is the takedown that is most likely to have effect against Keegan O'Toole. If you shoot head outside, and what's Levi's best shot? It is that high crotch, right? That he goes outside step to Keegan's right leg. He needs to attack Keegan's left leg, head inside. That was the recipe for David Carr when he was able to have success against Keegan O'Toole. Dan Bronigal, who I mentioned earlier, had 2 takedowns against Keegan earlier this year. Same, that right-handed single leg, I believe. It was a head inside single, I know that much. And I think that's going to be the shot for Levi to take him down. Now, easier said than done, but I just put a lot of stock in the Penn State planning and game planning of that. And then you may be saying, hey, aren't you overlooking Dean Hamady in that semifinal match? Shouldn't we be talking about that more? And you're right. That is going to be a close competitive match. But for me, and something Ben said, and I agree, Ben Askren, he said, what has Dean Hamady ever beaten anyone the caliber of Levi Haines? Has he ever notched a win that big? The answer is no. He's never beat anyone on the caliber of Levi Haines or Keegan O'Toole. He has been close. He was really close against Mitchell Messenbrink. He was really close against Keegan O'Toole. But to me, that's the story. I think it will be close, but I think ultimately we're going to see Levi Haines find a way, get the job done in that match and in that finals match. And you may say, from a straight probability standpoint, Levi Haines has to win 2 really tough matches. Keegan O'Toole has to win 1. Odds on favorite, you probably should side with Keegan O'Toole. The Vegas, the bookmakers, they should side with Keegan. I'm just going with my original pick. Right or wrong, I'm going down with Levi Haines. He is my NCAA champion prediction here. And we'll see if I'm right. It could go up in flames in that semifinal round, but I trust Levi Haines to win this match. Now, what's the rest of my podium look like? Well, I've got Levi over Keegan, Dean Hamady 3rd over Danny Bronigal, the 20 seed. I have him getting 4th place. Carson Hartzler 5th. I liked the way he looked at the end of the season. I liked the way he looked at Big Tens, even though he kind of melted down against Bronigal. I think he still had a really nice performance. I have him beating Garrett Thompson for 5th place. And then I have Patrick Kennedy getting on the podium, beating Simon Ruiz of Cornell. Round of 12 losers, I have Alex Kramer, Cade DeVos, Danny Wask, and Lenny Pinto. All right, here's my round of 12. I have Kennedy beating Pinto. Now, that was the craziest match I think I watched this year. Kennedy and Pinto in that Duel and Carver Hawkeye. I think Kennedy gets it done there in that round of 12 match because I have Pinto losing to Hartzler in that second round match. That's a big second round match for Pinto. Can he win that one? Absolutely. I just have Hartzler getting the job done there. This is on these All-American. Sometimes you feel a little more clear. I think these are all coin flip type of matches with Pinto and Kennedy certainly being one. Garrett Thompson, Danny Wask, certainly winnable for Wask, but I believe Thompson won that match earlier this year. I have him getting the job done there for the Ohio Bobcats. Hartzler, I have beating DeVos, and I have Simon Ruiz taking out Alex Kramer in that round of 12. It's a really fun weight. The finals is obviously going to take a lot of the shine, a lot of the discussion, but I think there's a ton of highly seeded guys that could be extremely disruptive, could absolutely blow up this bracket and make it look crazy. I actually have a little bit of disruption going on there. But what do you think? Do you see this weight going chalk? But I want to know more than anything. Do you have Keegan winning? Do you have Levi winning? Can Dean Hamady do it? I want to hear from you. Who wins 174 pounds in Philly?